In the next 60 seconds, you will discover the real reason you feel so alone, even when you're surrounded by people. It is not a flaw in you. It is a message, and understanding it could change everything. Picture it for a moment. You are sitting at a family dinner table. There is the familiar sound of silverware on plates, the low hum of conversation, the warmth of the lights. You are smiling, you are nodding, you are present. But inside, there is a vast, quiet space, a feeling that you're watching your own life from a great distance, a bone-deep tiredness that sleep cannot touch. If you have ever felt this, you are not going crazy, and you are not ungrateful. For years, you may have been told this loneliness is a problem to be fixed, a sign that something is wrong with you. But what if that's not true? What if that deep, unshakable fatigue is not a symptom of breakdown, but the first sign of a breakthrough? Carl Jung didn't call this a crisis. He called it a summons of the soul, a sacred invitation to withdraw your energy from a world that no longer fits and to begin the most important journey of your life, the journey inward. This video is a map for that quiet inner world. We will explore why the connections that once defined you may now feel like they are draining you. And we will uncover why this feeling of being lost is actually your soul's way of guiding you home. Let's begin. So, you have felt the call, that quiet summons to come home to yourself. But a question lingers in the silence, a question that feels heavy with guilt. Why now? Why does this exhaustion feel so profound precisely when life is supposed to be settled? To understand this, we need to look at the architecture of a life. Let's imagine a woman named Linda. She is 52. For 30 years, she was the master architect of her family's world. She built a career while also building a home. She remembered birthdays, packed lunches, attended parent-teacher conferences. She was the perfect daughter to her aging parents, the emotional anchor for her husband, the safe harbor for her children. She did it all, and she did it beautifully. But now, her children have grown and moved out. Her parents have passed on. The constant demands that once filled every corner of her life have receded, and the silence they left behind is deafening. Her beautiful home no longer feels like a sanctuary. It feels like an echo chamber filled with the ghosts of roles she no longer plays. She walks through the quiet hallways and feels an exhaustion so deep it frightens her. It's the exhaustion of an architect standing in a magnificent, empty museum she built for everyone else. If Linda's story resonates with you, you are experiencing something Carl Jung identified with stunning clarity. It has a name. It is called persona exhaustion. The persona is the mask you show the world. It is not a bad thing. It is a necessary tool for navigating society. The good mother, the capable professional, the supportive wife, the dutiful daughter. Think of it like a suit of armor you forged in the first half of your life. That armor protected you. It helped you function, succeed, and survive. But what happens when the battles you were fighting are over? What happens when you have outgrown the armor, but you keep wearing it out of habit? It becomes heavy, impossibly heavy. It no longer protects you, it imprisons you. The space between who you truly are now and the rigid metal of the role you used to play creates a constant draining friction. The sheer energy it takes just to hold that mask in place day after day becomes immense. That is not laziness. That is not depression. That is soul fatigue. It is the weariness of your soul, tired of performing a part that is no longer yours to play. But there is an even deeper current at play here. Something fundamental is shifting. Jung had a concept called libido, and he didn't just mean sexual energy. He meant life energy, your vitality, your creative fire, your drive. Imagine this life energy as a great river. In the first half of a woman's life, society, biology, and culture all encourage this river to flow outward. It is the great outward pouring. You pour your energy into your children, nurturing them into adulthood. You pour it into your career, building something in the world. You pour it into your relationships, your home, your community. This outward flow is natural, necessary, and good. But around midlife, a profound and natural shift occurs. The river, having nourished the external world, now feels a gravitational pull to turn back. It wants to flow inward. It wants to irrigate the dry landscapes of your own inner world, the parts of you that were put on hold for decades. Your dreams, your creativity, your spirituality, your unlived life. This is not a mistake. This is the soul's natural design for the second half of life. So where does the overwhelming fatigue come from? It comes from the conflict. It is the exhaustion of trying to force a river to flow uphill. The world still expects you to pour outward. Your family may still expect it. And most powerfully, you still expect it of yourself. So you stand at the riverbank, trying desperately to push the current back out to sea, while its natural tide is pulling it powerfully, inexorably inward. That struggle, that resistance against your own soul's current, is the very anatomy of midlife fatigue. So the tiredness you feel is not a sign that you are failing. On the contrary, it is proof that your soul is functioning perfectly. It is the sacred signal that the tide is turning. The great river of your life is finally trying to come home. The question is no longer why you are so tired. The question becomes, what happens when you stop fighting the current? What happens when you allow the river to flow where it longs to go? That is where we find the sacred emptiness, and that is what we will explore next.
Emptiness. The word itself feels cold. It carries the weight of absence, of loss, of failure. Our culture tells us to fill it with noise, with activity, with people, with anything to avoid the vast, quiet stillness. We are taught that to be empty is to be worthless. But Carl Jung looked at this space with reverence. He saw it not as a void, but as a womb, a necessary clearing in the dense forest of your life, where something new has room to grow. To understand this, we must first make a critical distinction. We must learn the difference between two words that feel similar, but are worlds apart: loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the pain of an empty room. It is the ache for external connection. It is the feeling that something is missing on the outside. Loneliness is looking for a hand to hold. It feels like poverty. It drains you. Solitude is the peace of an empty room. It is the joy of internal connection. It is the feeling that something is present on the inside. Solitude is learning to hold your own hand. It feels like richness. It fills you. For decades, you may have lived in a very crowded inner room, filled with the needs of your children, the expectations of your partner, the demands of your job, the voices of society. There was no space left for you. The loneliness you feel now is the painful echo of that lifelong crowding. But the emptiness that is beginning to open up, that is an invitation to solitude. Think of it this way. You cannot plant a new garden on top of an old, overgrown one. You must first clear the land. You must pull the weeds, till the soil, and allow the ground to lie fallow for a time. That empty patch of earth is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of intelligent preparation. It is the promise of a future harvest. Your soul is a wise gardener. The exhaustion and the loneliness you feel are its most powerful tools for clearing the land. They are the mechanism of the call to retreat. This is a profound concept. The feelings that you have been fighting against are actually fighting for you. Your fatigue is not your enemy. It is your soul's loving way of saying, "Stop. You cannot continue to pour from an empty cup. You must rest now." It forces you to withdraw from the endless activity that distracts you from yourself. Your loneliness is not a punishment. It is your soul's gentle whisper, saying, "Come back. The voices out there are too loud. The connection you truly crave is in here." It creates a quiet space, free from the opinions and needs of others, where you can finally hear your own voice again. For the woman in midlife, this retreat is not a luxury. It is a biological and spiritual necessity. It is the second great journey. The first journey was outward, into the world to build a life. The second is inward, into the soul, to find its meaning. The pain you are experiencing is the pain of transition, the grief of letting go of the old garden, the fear of the empty field. It is the discomfort of standing at the threshold between the life you knew and the life that is waiting to be known. This sacred emptiness is not a place of nothingness. It is a place of pure potential. It is the silent, fertile ground from which your most authentic self can finally emerge. It is the canvas upon which the second half of your life will be painted. The noise of your former life had to fade so that you could hear the music of your own soul. The crowd had to disperse so that you could finally enjoy the company of yourself. You are not broken. You are simply fallow. You are in the sacred pause between what was and what will be. But how do you sit in this quiet room? How do you begin to hear what the silence has to say? That is the art of listening. And that is where our journey takes us next.
So, here you are, standing in the quiet clearing of your own life. The noise has faded, the crowds have gone, and in the stillness, a new kind of question arises. A question that is both gentle and terrifying. Now what? How do you learn to inhabit this new inner space without panicking and running back to the familiar noise? How do you learn to listen when all you have ever known is how to speak or how to perform? The answer is simpler than you think. It does not require years of study or hours of meditation. It requires only a willingness to be still, to be gentle with yourself, and to begin with the smallest of steps. Here are 3 invitations, 3 ways to begin the art of listening to your own soul. The first invitation is the 5-minute sanctuary. This is not meditation. Let me repeat that. This is not meditation. There is no goal. There is no doing it right. There is no need to empty your mind. The only intention is to show up for yourself. Here is what you do. Find a chair in a quiet corner of your home. Set a timer on your phone for 5 minutes. And for those 5 minutes, you do nothing. You just sit. Your hands can rest in your lap. Your eyes can be open or closed. You just sit and you allow. Your mind will race. Of course it will. It has been running for 50 years. It will throw your to-do list at you. It will remind you of past regrets and future worries. This is normal. This is expected. I want you to imagine your mind is a busy train station, and your thoughts are the trains, constantly arriving and departing. For your entire life, you have been jumping onto every train that pulls into the station. The worry train, the planning train, the guilt train. For these 5 minutes, you are not going to get on any trains. You are just going to sit on the bench and watch them come and go. You will notice them. Ah, there is the train of what I need to buy at the grocery store. There is the train of that awkward thing I said yesterday. You just notice them, and you let them pass. You stay on the bench. That's it. That is the entire practice. It is the simple, radical act of not abandoning yourself for 5 minutes. It is creating a tiny sanctuary in time where you are the only priority. The second invitation is befriending the feeling. When that wave of loneliness or emptiness washes over you, what is your first instinct? It is to fight it, to numb it, to distract yourself from it, to scroll on your phone, or eat something, or turn on the television. We treat the feeling like an intruder. I want to invite you to do something radically different. The next time the feeling comes, I want you to treat it like an unexpected visitor at your door. A visitor who looks sad and weary and has traveled a long way to see you. You do not have to fight it. You do not have to fix it. You only have to acknowledge it. You can do this silently in your own mind. Just for a moment, pause, take a breath, and say to the feeling, "Hello, I see you are here." That is all. "Hello, I see you." Something remarkable happens when you do this. When you stop resisting a feeling and simply offer it your gentle presence, it begins to soften. The terrifying monster at the door becomes a tired messenger. It loses its power to overwhelm you because you have taken away the fuel of your own resistance. You are no longer at war with your own inner world. You are simply being with what is. And once you have acknowledged the messenger, you can move to the third invitation. Ask one gentle question. This is the beginning of a real dialogue with your soul. After you have greeted the feeling of loneliness, after you have allowed it to be there without judgment, you can ask it a simple, open question. Not, "How do I get rid of you?" Not, "Why won't you leave me alone?" Those are questions of war. Instead, you ask a question of curiosity, a question of peace. You ask, "What are you here to tell me?" And then, you listen. The answer may not come in words. It rarely does. The soul does not speak in sentences. It speaks in whispers, in feelings, in images, in a sudden urge to pick up a paintbrush for the first time in 30 years. It speaks in a sudden memory of a song you used to love. It speaks in the quiet knowing that you need to spend more time in nature. By asking this gentle question, you are changing your relationship with your own pain. You are no longer its victim. You are its student. You are treating your loneliness not as a flaw to be erased, but as a wise guide who has come to show you the way home. These three practices, the sanctuary, the befriending, the question, they are not a cure for the emptiness. They are the art of living with it. They are how you turn a barren field into a fallow garden, rich with potential. They are how you begin to find the most profound and steady company you will ever know. The company of yourself.
We have traveled a long way together today, through the silent hallways of the echo chamber and into the quiet clearing of the sacred emptiness. We have learned that the ache of loneliness and the bone-deep fatigue you feel are not signs that you are broken. They are the signals that your soul is calling you home. The journey from loneliness to solitude is not a quick fix. It is not about filling the quiet space with new distractions. It is the slow, gentle, and sometimes difficult art of learning to inhabit that space with peace. It is the practice of turning toward yourself with the same compassion you have so freely given to everyone else for decades. This is not a journey to find a missing piece. It is a journey to realize that you were whole all along, waiting quietly beneath the noise. The goal is not to stop feeling lonely forever. The goal is to build a relationship with yourself that is so strong, so steady, and so loving that when loneliness does visit, you can greet it as a friend. Listen to its message, and know that you are never truly alone, because you have the company of yourself. That is the ultimate destination of this path. Not a life free from pain, but a life rich with inner connection. If this message today resonated in that quiet place within you, I invite you to make a gentle commitment. Not for me, but for yourself. In the comments below, simply write the words, "I am creating space for myself." Let it be a quiet declaration, a digital anchor for your intention to begin this sacred work. But I must be honest with you. This path of creating inner space comes with its own profound challenge. When the roles you used to play fall away, when the noise of the world finally quiets down, you will be left sitting with yourself. And sometimes, when you look in the mirror, you may not recognize the person looking back. If you are ready for that next step of the journey, I invite you to watch the next video in our series, "I Look in the Mirror and Don't Recognize Myself." In that video, we will explore one of the deepest identity crises of midlife and discover how to befriend the stranger who is, in truth, your emerging, authentic self. You will find the tools to navigate that disorienting but powerful transformation. Thank you for sharing this quiet space with me today. Remember to be gentle with yourself. The river is finding its way home. All you have to do is allow it to flow, one breath at a time.